Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called The Secretary. A few years back I was working as an IT consultant for my country's Ministry of Justice. Now, in my country, IT consultant usually means do everything with a power button. From actual consulting to plugging in computers for people who think electricity is a myth, to managing servers, networks, printers, and occasionally being an errand boy for high-ranking officials. My contract was totally sketchy, temporary, constantly renewed every few months. No protections, no power to say no. Enter Jazz, the secretary of the ministry and my unofficial boss by force. No digital literacy to speak of, but armed with an iPhone and a love for Viber, which by the way was strictly banned for government use. She sent me Viber messages to my private phone all the time. Pictures to print, random menial tasks, anything she didn't want to figure out herself. One day she sends me a Viber message. Print this video for me, in color, before the end of your shift. It was a 2-minute video, 24 frames per second. That's 2880 frames. I tried to explain. I even offered alternatives. If it's not on my desk by end of shift, you are gone. I wrote a script to extract every single frame as an image, then sent them all to the color printer, which only I knew how to use, of course. Midway through, the toner ran out, so I swapped in our last stock. The next toner order was scheduled 6 months later. I handed her the stack just before my shift ended. She looked at the thousands of pages, dumbfounded. Are you an idiot? You just wasted government property. Here's the Viber message where you told me to do it. She shut up real fast. Fast forward a bit. I get called to the server room by intelligence staff. They say it smells like burning copper. A literal nightmare for any IT department. I get there and the main comms server that connects us to the Ministry of Finance is on fire. And of course there's no backup, no redundancy. If this server dies, national level systems go down. As I'm battling actual flames with a fire extinguisher, my phone rings. Guess who? Just said, come help me, now. I explained the server is on fire, literally. If you don't come up here right now, you are fired. So I complied. I left the flaming server room and went upstairs to see what world-ending emergency required my presence. She had a 2-part broom that needed assembling. You know, the kind where you just click the brush onto the stick. She bought it for her secretary. Couldn't figure it out. That was it. I helped her with the broom. Then I resigned on the spot. The server burned out completely. Took down critical comms between ministries. Millions probably lost. And all preventable. But hey, that broom got assembled. The next story is called White Shirts. I work security at a large car manufacturing plant. Like most industrial security teams, we document everything. Every suspicious car, every unlocked door, every noise someone didn't recognize, every spilled coffee that someone might slip on. It adds up to about 45 incident reports a day, all of which get emailed out to a specific distro list. Enter the White Shirts. Admin staff who usually have no idea how things actually run, but love to feel involved. They approach us and say, we want to be on the incident email list too. We need to stay informed. Are you sure? That's a lot of emails. Yes, absolutely. We want to see everything. So we added them to the list. For the next 2 days they were buried in 40 to 50 emails daily. Subjects like truck driver reported suspicious smell in loading dock. Turned out to be fish sandwich. Employee locked keys in car. Again. Cat seen near perimeter fence. Did not appear hostile. Today I come in, check the email list and, surprise, the white shirts are gone. Turns out they were getting too many emails and couldn't keep up. The third story is called Music Policy. This happened about 6 years ago when I was working as a technical writer. a new operations manager came in and immediately started optimizing everything. Endless mandatory huddles, even mid-deadline, weird rules, and most memorably, a ban on headphones. Headphones make it seem like you are not concentrating on your work. So instead, each team would now choose the office music for the day, out loud, on speakers, for everyone. Now, if you've ever written anything longer than a grocery list, you know how ridiculous this is. Writers need focus. Music can help, but only if it suits your taste, mood or flow. So naturally, we were upset. It was our team's turn to pick the music. We picked JJ music, a genre beloved by some, loathed by many. We like it, but others hate it. No one complained though, so we kept going. But I decided to take it a step further. That afternoon it was time for my weekly crash out writing sprint. And what better background music than a full-on Taylor Swift playlist. A bunch of my teammates were Swifties, and we turned the office into a mini concert, singing along, swaying in chairs, vibing. But not everyone was thrilled. Our team lead, a rock fan and usually very chill, quietly packed up her things and moved to our meeting room for the rest of the day. Turns out, thanks to being repeatedly tortured by her niece's obsession with one specific T-Swift song, she'd sworn off the entire discography. The next day, another teammate, also a Swiftie, took over music duties. More Taylor, more chaos. By then, productivity was tanking. Not because we were slacking, but because everyone was too busy jamming or avoiding the office altogether. 1 week later, the operations manager sends out a notice. Headphone policy revoked. You may use headphones again, as long as deadlines are met. Guess what? Deadlines were always met. But for that week, we followed the rules exactly. No headphones. Music played loud and proud from the designated speaker. And the office turned into a bizarre mashup of karaoke bar, musical torture chamber, and passive-aggressive rebellion. Shortly after, I resigned. But that whole episode still lives rent-free in my memory. The last story is called Know Nothing Manager. About 20 years ago, I was working on a government contract, helping design remote data collection sites. These locations were to be powered by commercial utility power, with backup diesel generators in case the grid went down. During one planning meeting, I raised a small but important point. Hey, if utility power drops, there's a 1 to 2 minute gap before generators restore power and equipment reboots. Shouldn't we plan for that? Cue Bob, a high-energy suit-wearing expert and looking important while knowing nothing. Bob immediately volunteered me to look into it and come back with a recommendation. I did the research, tested specs, and recommended brand A UPS units. Solid double conversion systems that would seamlessly bridge any outage without power dips. Perfect for critical infrastructure. At the next meeting, Bob proudly announced, "We are going with brand B instead. It's 10% cheaper per unit, 25% less in bulk. Done deal." Technical translation: brand A, double conversion, constant battery feed, zero power interruption. Brand B, standby relay system. If power drops, there's a millisecond gap while it switches over. I fired off a well-documented CC everyone email with my concerns. Also BCC'd myself and my lawyer, just in case. Bob replied all, "It's only a few milliseconds. Nothing to worry about. We're going with brand B, and that's final." "Sure Bob, we'll do it your way." For the first year, all seemed quiet. A few minor hiccups here and there, but nothing anyone wanted to deal with. Then, a new housing development was built nearby. Suddenly we started getting comms lost and system rebooted alerts from every side on the outer edge, multiple times a day. Turns out power fluctuations caused by the construction were just enough to cause 12 to 15 millisecond drops, which was just long enough for brand B UPS units to fail over, momentarily drop power, and reboot all the expensive, sensitive equipment. By now, most of the original team had scattered, except me. The client complains. Hard. Corporate jumps in. First thing they ask, why are we using brand B when brand A was clearly the better choice? My answer? Ask Bob. Bob tries to deny everything, until of course I rip out the receipts, printed emails of my original recommendation, and his genius level, it's only a few milliseconds dismissal. Bob was promptly let go. Corporate ended up spending a mountain of money to retrofit every single site with brand A, plus paid penalties under the government contract. I got tons of overtime pay leading the retrofit project, so I guess Bob finally did something useful, giving me extra income. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.